everyone, my name is Campbell. Today we're talking about the spotted hyena, specifically the development, anatomy, and the social structure of it, and we'll kind of go over why this relates to this companion animal management class here in a second. So to start off with classification, the spotted hyena is considered a feliform carnivoran. So this means that it's like a cat-like carnivore. Phylogenetically, kind of explains it. They are very similar evolutionarily, phylogenetically, to the Felidae and vivarids. Vivarids meaning civets and genets. However, their behavior and their morphology, so how they look, how they act, is a little more similar to the canids. However, as you asked last week, they are not in the Felidae or Canidae family. They are in their own called Hyenidae. And this has 4 different species within it. So to start off with development, gestation takes 4 months. After this, the cubs rely on their mother for suckling for about 12 to 16 months. And then the overall lifespan is around 25 years. So during this development, very interesting thing happens. The placenta actually releases testosterone, causing a little bit more of like a androgen bath that this female and male develops within. So as we discussed with Annie being a 2M female, meaning she developed within the uterine next to 2 males, that caused testosterone to enter her during development, causing her to be more behaviorally aggressive. It's very similar in hyenas. We see an increased prevalence of aggressive behavior within females. They're a very, very aggressive species. We also see changes to the anatomy of females because of this testosterone. There's a lot of things with hormones, but testosterone is the main important one here. So to talk about the anatomy itself, this picture that you're looking at on the right is a female hyena. So because of these androgens that are released from the placenta, they actually develop what is called the pseudopenis. So this is an enlarged clitoris right here. I don't mind my shaky hand. But an enlarged clitoris right here, through which the urogenital canal goes through. So this is erectile. It also has an external labia that is fused, that appears like a scrotum type thing. And this is the entrance, the urogenital canal, through which urination, giving birth, and copulation all happen. So it is a very small opening for all of these very important functions. It is also important with hyena greetings. So this is the hyena greeting that is traditional. It's called a genital-to-genital greeting, which is not typically seen the same way in other species. So with this, you see that they lift their legs, they come up and greet each other by sniffing at each other. This is just how they say hello when they meet other individuals. So benefits and challenges of this reproductive system. Beneficially, it means that you get to choose your paternity. It's very difficult for copulation to happen. The male has to take a very difficult squat position in order to actually make it work. So because of this, it means that the female has to be receptive in order to allow him to actually do that. Further, you are able to flush the reproductive canal. If there is still sperm remaining within the reproductive tract, any urine that goes through that urogenital canal can help flush it out and kind of help choose that paternity as well. And then also you have the circumvention of infanticide. Female-to-female aggression within hyenas is very prevalent. So it's kind of thought that maybe this male-presenting genitalia helps them to circumvent some of that infanticide that is common from increased aggression. It's very aggressive in the first bit after they're born. The firstborn is actually seen a lot to attack the secondborn within minutes of that birth occurring. And then they also form a dominance hierarchy within that litter. So the dominant shows their dominance through bite shakes, where they latch on and shake around a bit. Once that dominance is set up, it goes to just brief bites and threats instead, but you will consistently see subordinate injuries on the hind from where they are being put in their place. You also have challenges from this reproductive system. There is 60% cub mortality. As I mentioned with the urogenital canal, that is where birth happens. It's a small path to go through. 60% of cubs die in birth just from suffocation. And then you also have high female mortality, especially when it comes to first-time mothers. So to talk about social structure, the spotted hyena lives in a fission-fusion society, meaning that the group size and how it's made up changes throughout the day. So an example of this is when the group might split up to go hunt, but then come back together to form a larger group again. So you see small groups, but then you can also see large ones of up to 160 individuals. There are two hierarchies that are formed within the hyena society as well. We see females and their subadult progeny as one, and then adult males as a second one. And then within the male hierarchy, you also have a system for the immigrant males, where they join at the bottom of the rankings and they have to fight their way up. And you can tell some of their ranking through these whooping calls, their loudness, and their length. However, as a whole, hyena society is dominated by the females. Because of this androgen bath, they are the larger gender and they are much more aggressive, and they will dominate the males in all ways. They are the first ones to get the kill. They are the ones that demand subordination from the males. Very dominant. The cubs of both sexes also inherit the rank of their mother. This makes it a matrilineal society where the kinship of the female matters way more than the kinship of the father, which is not something that we always typically see. Another thing that is kind of interesting to note is that there is a 25% neonatal siblicide that occurs on top of that 60% death during birth. And then these are some pictures that I took this summer on my study abroad. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah, what you got?
Does the canal like widen in any way during birth? Like there has to be some sort of like.
Yeah, so it is a little bit able to stretch in order to allow passage of the cub through it. However, a lot of the issue with the first-time mothers and their mortality is because you will see it rupture and like split open. A lot of the times that's also how you can tell whether they're a first-time parent or how old they are if they're at reproductive age, because you can see that they've had damage from a previous birth before. What you got?
So like how anatomically would their cervix be like located or look like?
I'm gonna go back to it. So the cervix, I guess it's not actually really indicated in this diagram. I'm not fully certain on that one. It doesn't discuss much about it. If I had to guess, it'd be somewhere up here past the bladder so that it doesn't have to figure something out with all that. I don't know. I haven't taken a hyena reproductive physiology class.